Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MonkeyCast. I am Aaron Holbrook.
I am Max Brandeis.
And we are here with our special guests, Doug and Owen Oaksford.
What's up, guys? Yo.
They are related.
Only by blood and voice. This might be difficult.
Not really. Okay, so we'll start out giving everybody a little update on our fundraising campaign. We are currently still hovering at $877 after somewhere in the neighborhood of 65 or 70 days. I don't have that number straight in front of me, but I know that we're more than halfway through our campaign. We're working on bolstering that up so that way we can really make a good push at this. Please jump over to our campaign page and toss a donation our way if you can. Even if it's only a small donation, it's definitely going to help us out. Looks like Max has brought up the page, and we're at 48 days left right now. Time is quickly ticking away.
We are dating this.
Also today we're going to cover some stuff on some subjects that we really haven't. We are going to take a listener suggestion from the fabulous Sarah Morgan, who was the only person that suggested anything on our page of what we should cover.
I suggest things in real life, but then I'm told to be shushed.
Well, you're not told to be shushed. You just simply are shushed.
She was also our guest on our last podcast.
Yep, Sarah joined us on our last podcast, so we're gonna take her suggestion and cover some stuff there. So, I think where I would like to start out is with the upcoming Games Workshop release of the new Eldar Codex.
Oh, God.
Yay! Eldar again.
I was shocked when I found
Space
out.
elves.
I just found out here a little bit ago that the Codex structure has changed. And this is old news for those of you that play Warhammer and 40K. But evidently the Codexes are now all hardback, full color, and $50 a piece.
That sounds about right. They've
Yep.
been slowly upping their price for the exact same product for...
I was going to say,
20
when I
years
bought
now.
my Grey Knight Codex, it was still $20.
To be honest, in all reality, they've always been trying to, up the money for it, and who really plays it other than for the fluff nowadays? You don't really buy into this going, yes, this system of mechanics totally makes sense. I'm completely on. No, you buy it because it's got pretty pictures, the models are beautiful, and the storyline is fun.
And because you don't like a solid structure of rules.
Yes.
Which in 6 months will change. Hopefully they
As
will
soon
get...
as the orcs get their codex.
Well, hopefully the orcs will get their codex first.
No. Wait. The new Orc Codex has always heralded a new rulebook.
Yes, that's why I'm saying you will get the orcs codex followed by the new rules.
So let's
thus
hope.
making the orc codex completely useless.
Let us hope
I
that the
miss my
orcs codex comes out last then.
Well, it's always amusing because the new rule change oftentimes favors the last print of the Orc Codex. So you have this out-of-date army that somehow still kind of works, but it doesn't make sense as to how it works.
Right.
I like the one where you shoot their vehicle and it gets closer.
That makes sense.
Free
Yeah.
disembark
Yeah.
for Orc vehicles. Huzzah!
Physics works like that.
Sure.
Of course.
I did see some of the new minis, which really actually look kind of cool.
The 9-inch
Of course
mini.
they do.
The new Wraith Knight is 9.5 inches tall.
Unlike certain things.
Coated with gems and other
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
jewels stuff.
Yeah, it's freaking huge. There's a new fighter as well. They call it, I think it's the Wraith Fighter. They're really going with this Wraith theme.
Well,
Everything's a
in all
ghost.
fairness, they really gone with fighters overall. Everybody's getting airships now.
Because everybody
Yeah.
already has the ground troops.
I was
Right,
going
pretty
to say, because
much.
they added the... I forgot what it was called for the Space Marines.
Well, they added
The Thunderhawk gunship. They added
the Valkyrie for the IG.
Yeah, they added... who else
but-
got fighters? Eldar already had a fighter, didn't they?
No, they had hover tanks.
Oh, I'm thinking of... what's that? Armored Book? Or Armored...
Yeah, no, you're
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
of when they released the super tanks and all of that sort of things, and they're like, oh, and here are some air vehicles,
Through Forge World.
but
Yeah, for
they're going to be extraordinarily expensive, and their rules are going to be really complex, kind of like how drop pods were, and then drop pods became
Drop
just
pods
how you work your
became
army.
soda cans that you put on the table.
Yeah, and
And said that was my drop pod.
a bunch of very pissed
Or
off
you could
nerds.
spend $50 on a drop pod.
I had a friend who spent $50 on the drop pod, and while they looked beautiful, they were complicated to put together, and a soda can would work just as well.
In fairness, the new drop pods are a little cheaper and just as complex to put together. I friggin' hate those things. I have a couple that I have to put together, and it's just...
It's called a soda can.
Yeah, no, it's just easier to go with that.
one of the other things that GW has been doing, as opposed to simply redoing the rules every 2 to 3 months, so that way everybody has to buy new stuff, and you have to have a constantly changing army, is they've been limiting retailers on certain products.
Oh, so everybody only gets in like 4 boxes of Eldar fired dragons and
More like out of a certain line, a certain type of model, retailers are only allowed a certain dollar amount to purchase.
Oh.
So they're only allowed $400 of, I'm not sure exactly which one it was, but there's one of the lines where they're only allowed $400 of that. And that goes across all the armies.
So you better hope that your entire store doesn't just want one unit.
which everybody's going to want, because whoever has the newest codex has the best army.
Yep.
Well, it's
I
not
mean,
only that,
not
but
100% of the time.
no, it's not
But
only
no,
that,
but
but
that's
also,
going to be the one that everybody buys.
right.
Well, yeah.
But here's the other thing: is that a lot of like Games Workshop, a lot of 40K, a lot of fantasy is you do it by statistics.
Yep.
And if you do it by the numbers, there are certain units that just don't cut it, and other units that are way overpowered. Now, I'm fully for like the guy who's like, I'm going to make an all grot army.
You mean your brother?
Yes, because it's amusing.
Well, but on top of that, if you calculated the numbers out back then, if you had the all-grot unit with the little guy to herd them and then the squig hounds that went with him, you actually had statistically a better unit than your other units, which made me sad.
Yeah.
But when your unit of 20 grots can take out, or not take out, but can tie up something like, say, a Nightbringer for 3 turns, why not take a 60-point unit of grots to tie up their 400-point model?
And I mean, I understand with miniatures companies wanting to create a little chaos because they make money by us buying their minis.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, if we buy this one army and that army lasts us for 20 years, then they're losing money.
Right.
But you have companies like Privateer Press that in the last 5 years have done one rules revision.
Yeah. Well,
You
that's
know?
also because what they did is they just made it so that, okay, you have this core army, and then you have leaders who do different things, and then you have a bunch of different units. So all you really have to do is, if you're trying to like save money, is just buy a new leader. But then you buy a new leader and you start playing with it and you go, oh hey, I could use this unit or I could use that. Or the majority of nerds who play this game, let's face it, everybody who plays a miniature game does it also because the models are pretty.
Yeah.
That's true.
And we all like to glue together and paint and
Well, Max doesn't.
well,
No, Max doesn't. Max is a horrible painter. Gluing them together isn't bad, but the painting, I'm not so good at the painting.
but you still like to look at the models.
Oh, the models are gorgeous.
Like
Well, and the people that don't like to paint help those of us that do like to paint make a little bit of extra money. So
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
yeah, that's true. Well, it's also one of those things where it's even if you suck at painting, even if you don't like it, you get somebody who likes to paint it, and then like you get a painted model, and then you're able to show it off to your friends who don't play the game,
Right.
or don't know it. You're like, look at this, and they go, oh, that's really cool. Like, where did you get this? And you're like, oh, well, I play this game, and then you get to talk about this miniature game that you're obsessed with that you never get to play.
Right. Well, and my problem with GW has been that they put out, a new rule set every so often. There have been gaps in it when they were going from 3rd to 4th. The Dark Eldar Codex didn't even get out before they made 5th.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Orcs, same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got gaps like that. Whereas when you have other smaller companies that are running games that are
What?
less money intensive and a little bit, they're smaller games. I mean, there's less miniatures on the table, like Privateer Press, like Infinity, etc.
Well, here's the other thing. I think that GW should go back to what they did during like 2nd edition and completely eradicate a race just to screw with people. Because
Between first and second, you
Yeah.
got rid of the space dwarves.
the dwarves
The
got
squats, the
genocided.
squats.
And let's be honest, there are a lot of different races. Like if you compare Privateer Press and you compare GW, and you compare, okay, well, you've got all these races with GW. You've got like Privateer Press has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
They've only added 2.
Right.
They
In the
have,
last 5 years.
3 or 4
Right.
War Machine groups.
I believe there's what with War Machine. There's Signar, Khador. My brain's completely blank.
This is going to end poorly because now we're going to have to try and edit this part right.
No, we're not. They've got a bunch, and they've got exactly a bunch. But they've got a bunch for War Machine. They've got a bunch for Hordes, and they've added in a couple here or there,
Right.
to help fill it out.
But with GW, They've had you have Space Elves.
All I'm saying
humans.
is, if one game needs to lose a race,
it
would be fantasy.
true.
Because you have multiple sects of humans. You got the undead, chaos.
You have so many
lizard
elves.
men,
Dwarves,
Well,
wood elves, high elves, dark elves.
Actually, as a whole, though, I think the Warhammer Fantasy rule set, if it wasn't so magic heavy, would be really well balanced. The problem with them isn't so much that there's a lot of different races. The problem with fantasy is if you don't have 4 wizards in your army, you're doing it wrong.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're going to shake it up by killing a race, fantasy has something to give.
Right,
Well,
right.
why don't they just do it with both? I mean, it's the same company.
But what you're talking about on 40K is essentially your armies are getting too large because they keep releasing new units. Now you have to figure out a way to fold that unit into the army. So they increase the point value that you're allowed. They change the point value to make things cheaper so you can get a bigger and bigger army.
Right.
Really, in 2nd edition, when it was more of a smaller squad-based thing where you only had 30, 40 minis tops on the field.
If you had more than that, then it was amazing.
Right, well then you were playing Guard or Orcs or something. But if you with a small number of minis, you could actually set up and play a game in a timely fashion. You weren't spending 2 hours setting up your force.
Right.
And that meant that also you and your buddies could get together and we could all play.
Well,
Because
didn't they
you
come
only had
up
to
with
paint 40
that
models.
different format for 40K where it was like 500 points? I remember playing that. It was
Yeah.
one standard unit or standard squad, base squad, and a few other vehicles. I did that when I played Necrons. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they
Although,
had a total armor value that
I
you had to
am gonna bring
rank below.
up that we are looking back at the older one with nostalgia, but at the same time, it was terrible because I never actually saw one of the old games finished.
That's
I mean,
true.
literally.
Ours did
How?
end
Because
prematurely.
you could have your 2 commanders duel each other.
Oh god, that was
for
funny.
hours.
And
hours.
then you had a bunch of rule violations, and don't even get me started on the vortex grenade.
The Vortex Grenade was by far the most amusing thing in that game.
I'm throwing a tiny black hole into the middle of this godforsaken complex. Oh, jeez, it was
Me
just,
too. Everybody.
I mean,
and all the generals.
It was fun to watch just because you didn't know what was going to happen. You just threw 4 black holes onto the field and hoped that it wouldn't just go into your guys.
And cross your fingers. So, so we're all in the consensus. Basically, redoing your rule set every couple of weeks is a bad idea.
It
Yes.
sucks. Just give me pretty models. Give me special characters that look amazing, and I will continue to give you money, Games Workshop. That's the way to do it.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. But
Right.
now the pretty models that you already have, those are obsolete, and you don't need those anymore.
Yeah, I don't need a whole new rule book. I just need a page or two with the new model. So really, are you making a lot of money off the books? Really, are you? Or does
Now
it
they
cost?
are that they're
Yeah.
$50.
Wait. Or does it cost more to print them? So I'll tell you what. Make me a really, really pretty single model, include the rule sheet in it, and charge me an extra $1 because I know you want to.
No, somebody's
So-
already doing that.
Yeah, that's called
Predator
Predator Press.
I'm aware.
What was
I'm
that?
aware.
They're also coming out with a special edition of the rulebook, aren't they?
There's for the Eldar Codex, there's a special edition, there's the standard hardback edition, then there's also a Craft World edition for one of the Craft Worlds of Eldar.
Just one?
Just one.
Which one?
Starts with a Y.
Oh,
What's their specialty?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have a
Yellow
que-
and blue.
Being
I hate those
Eldar.
guys.
That's
Yeah,
their,
they're
that's
a
their
different type
specialty.
of space elf. Well, and what gets me now is that
rulers.
okay, here's a new book. Owen, give me your $50 for this new book. Now that I have your $50 and you have that new book, there are gaps in the rules with that new book.
Yeah.
And you have to wait for the fact to come out before you
play
can
with
actually play it.
Yeah.
So thanks for the couple of $100 for your new miniatures. Thanks for the $50 for your book. Have fun. In a little while, we'll get you the rest of the book digitally, which you'll have to look up online.
Yeah.
Or argue about loudly in the store.
Where are my space
Well,
lizards?
that's in all
That's
fairness,
what I want
Right?
to know. And my Atlantis Guard for
They
fantasy.
did give you undead in space with the Necrons.
I want
They did.
Murlocs.
Although
want
I
my
did
Murloc
find
army.
it, I did find it rather. Well, that's basically the Kroot. No,
It's true.
I do find it funny that they, for a good portion of them, they had 2 armies in the wings with the Tyranids and the Necrons, where they're like, we don't have a lot of models for these. And
God, they really didn't with the Necrons. That was why I actually sold my Necron army.
right, it's because they had no units for them, and then they're like, bam, here's all of this. And if you really look at all the models, you're like, that just looks exactly like that thing over there.
Nope. Its left foot is a different mold.
That is true. Oh, look, we've put... Oh, wait, no, the human skin is kind of coming off on it.
That's why for my Skaven I had to model my Storm Vermin, because the Storm Vermin they had modeled looked retarded.
That actually happens with quite a few of the models. I mean...
That's why I switched to Grey Knights.
They're all pretty.
Those
There's not a
Space
single
Marines are the
bad-looking one.
most beautiful Space Marines I've seen.
You also don't have that many. So
No, and the Dread Knight. I wish I had the money to go out and buy a few Dread Knights. Those things are huge and badass looking. Probably the only thing that can take on that new Eldar Wraith thingy.
I wonder how much wax the Grey Knights go through in an average week. Like per soldier, just oh, shiny.
That's pretty much every...
Get out the buffer, guys. We're about to go into battle.
Oh, you gotta imagine how they feel after a battle. They're like, oh my goodness, I wish I had died.
At least I'm not the Dark Angels. Their laundry bills are ridiculous.
On the plus side, they probably save a little on armor polish. So
No, they polish it just underneath the robe.
Underneath the robe,
Yeah.
you can't see it, but
Can't see it.
It's important. The Emperor can see it. That's what's.
And that's the
matters.
important
It's
part.
not necessarily that he can see it, but he knows.
knows.
He knows.
Yeah.
So I also want to talk about the upcoming Magic release. They're doing another core set. Luckily, they keep to one of these a year.
That is true. Yeah.
But and you know it's coming every year.
Yep.
M14 is slated to release early June. I believe June 9th is the actual day. June 8th.
Yay, crack.
It is going to be another probably 300-400 card core set, including the really ridiculous mythic rares. You know,
You mean the red rares?
yeah, because having a rare wasn't bad enough. Having a 1 per box rare wasn't bad enough. Now they need to have mythic rares, which are even more ridiculous with their odds and their packing. And it's just, why? Why do we need this?
You know what's sad too? Looking at the mythic rares, there are definitely cards out there that are better than your stupid mythic rare.
Yeah.
But to be honest, some mythic rares are great.
Some are ungodly powerful, and some are like.
But that's true about rares and everything.
Yeah,
It's
well,
true.
and it is.
It's
I
a
mean,
fair balance.
It's
Even
never
when
going to
they-
be better than a lightning bolt. I'll tell you that.
Even when they only had rares out, you'd still look at some of them and be like, why in the world would I put this card in there with a 9 casting cost? Yeah, so what if it's a 40/40 with trample? I'm never going to get it on the table.
Or if I get it on the table, it's going to be
Green-
countered.
Green Sun Zenith. Response to that ridiculous casting cost.
Exactly. I mean, it's
Or other cards that'll be
Green
banned.
Sun-
Yeah.
Isn't that one X?
Yeah.
One green X.
You
I
need to
like
search
that
for it,
card.
yeah.
It's a great card.
but I mean,
Banned,
there's
but great.
Bans are great, exactly.
There's all kinds of cards throughout all the sets that, you know, you look at it and you're like, what is the point? And you know that the guys that designed that set are sitting back giggling to themselves going, nobody's discovered this yet. It's a turn 1 win. And nobody's figured it out because they look at this card and see that it's ridiculous. But there's always uncommons that are more playable, and there's even commons that are more useful than some of the rares.
Ponder. Ponder became such a great card, and it was only done in what?
You're playing blue? How many ponders do you have?
Me?
Not more than 4? You're doing it wrong.
I want to say that
Ponders.
you say not
Exactly.
more than 4.
If you don't have 4 ponders in that deck, you're doing it wrong.
I have 20 in my deck. No.
Yeah, no, you're still doing it wrong.
Yeah.
The number of ponders you should have is equal to, but not greater than 4.
But it
But-
was a common, and it was a great, great card.
Yeah,
is
it
a
was.
great card.
Definitely. And it's good to see that Magic, with it being a collectible card game and not like the living card game format of the new Star Wars or Game of Thrones, that they once a year go through and they're like, okay, this is stuff that we want to make sure is going to stay in the format. This is stuff that we want to make sure doesn't become so out of print that kids aren't buying packs for it because they want us buying booster packs. They don't
Yeah.
care if a card hits a $40 value as long as it's in the current set. If it's in the current set, they want the value to be high, so that way we all buy packs for it.
But at the same time, you've got to also try and measure out, like, okay, what can I do with it? Because there have been plenty of card games which I've played, which I truly love. And then it'll turn into one of those things of, it dies. I mean, actually...
The card game dies?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but this
Spoils.
is Magic. They kill out the...
You can't beat Magic. Magic's already going.
Magic's the one that kills the other games.
Right.
So, which they've done many, many times. A lot of times they'll
which
just,
pissed me off so much.
a lot of times they'll just buy it and then kill it.
Because it's usually one of those things where I listen to like Max or I listen to you, and you go, "Oh, buy into this game," and I buy into that game, and then like a few months later, it's dead.
Well, then you have to just...
Those games are great.
They
We
are
told you to
great.
get into Spoils, which was an amazing game.
And I got into it, and what happened?
Well, to be honest, Spoils just hit some bad luck, and they
Yeah.
tried to expand, in my opinion, a little quicker than they
Well,
Should
but,
have.
but on top of that, what we're talking about there is, oh no, you're left over with a really awesome card game to play forever. Oh
only
no, it's
downside
not
is that
giving you more cards.
Yeah. Oh no, you don't have to spend more money on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I can understand,
Don't
but
be sad that your card game's dead. Be happy that you don't have to keep giving them thousands of dollars every year.
I have to now try and find old boxes of it so I can get that one card that I was searching for.
Just buy that one card. It's cheaper.
It's hard to find those cards.
That's
It's very
true.
hard to find
It
people
is.
selling those
It
cards.
is. And anyone that has old spoils cards that would like to get rid of them, get in contact with us because we're still all nerds. I keep finding my spoils cards. It's kind of weird. Every once in a while, I'll just be digging through and I'll find a stack of them here or a stack of them there, and I'm like, oh,
I keep
I don't
finding...
even know where to put these.
It's like me and L5R.
Yeah.
Every now and again. It's
That
just
game's
like-
still alive, though.
I know.
It is.
Well,
kind
it's
of, sort of.
in the most recent version. If you have first L5R cards, those are only 20-something years old. Then
I'm
those
aware.
won't work.
Grandpa, tell us what it was like before the internet.
Watch it, you.
Well, we had this thing called the Pony Express, and you would
We had this thing called the mail.
you
Maybe
Whoa.
you've heard of it.
you put your
It
phone
wasn't
or-
used to order stuff online.
What I found hilarious, though, is like when the internet did first start, you got an email and you got super stoked about it. And like then you got a bunch of like normal like letters and you're like, meh. Now it's the exact opposite. You get like 1.5 billion emails and you're like, I don't care.
I just
And it
delete
can-
emails.
I know, it could be like from your grandmother and you're just gonna go delete and you're like, no, wait, oh.
My grandmother doesn't use emails.
I started mailing people physical letters from the Bank of Nigeria because I wanted to get that.
Please disregard the fact that we can neither spell royalty nor Nigerian.
You see, I might give a person who sends me a letter like that money just because
What's
they
your
put in
address?
the extra.
Yeah, the rules changes are interesting for the new Magic set. So your legendary creatures. So before, say I had
Oh, yeah, I
Jace
did
out
hear
and
about-
then Max tosses out a Jace. Both of them get destroyed and they get tossed in the trash.
Doesn't work that way anymore.
No, it hasn't worked that way in years.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, it has.
Really?
That's, that's
Yeah.
how it was as of late.
You can only have one Jace on the field. Now we can both have Jace.
We can both have a Jace, but if I try and cast 2 Jaces,
Right.
He
then I
gets
have
to choose which one dies.
Right.
And then he still has Jace. Because it used to be, like, if I had a Mox Opal out and I threw out another Mox Opal, they'd both be destroyed because they couldn't both exist. Now, if I throw another Mox Opal out, one gets destroyed, I get to keep the other
You see,
one.
from I don't know. From my perspective, I see Magic, and I see one of those things. If I toss out this and I toss out that, they're both the same thing. I would just consider paradox happens, and you win the game.
And that's why you're not in charge of Magic. So the request from Miss Sarah Morgan was that we touch on our favorite out-of-print games. So we'll just kind of go around the table.
Which actually turned out to be a lot more than I thought there would be.
I know, right? So Max, you go first.
My favorite out-of-print game is Star Wars Epic Duels. I know Doug shared a love for this game as well. I think we were the only two of our friends who actually bought copies.
Christian bought one as well.
Christian bought one? All right. But
Pasha wishes he
it
did.
was a great...
Everybody wishes they bought
a great game. It's a lot of fun. You can play... We can play up to 8 players.
Oh
10
no,
players.
no! It's you could play one person per character, and I believe there are 8 playable characters per side, dark side and light side. So
You can play up to 16 players.
it's a board game miniature game where you draw cards to determine abilities and roll dice to move your figure around the board.
And it was just a
It's a lot
ton of
simpler
fun.
than it seems.
The only copy of the game that I saw, because we were looking at buying more copies, I think it's going for about $100 right now on eBay.
That's actually cheap. When I looked, it was more than that.
That might be an unopened copy.
That's true. Oh, this is an open copy.
Yeah, this was an
It's
open
also a
copy.
good idea to check half-price books because I saw some out-of-print games there every once in a while.
Ooh.
Yeah, Half Price Books is a great resource for everything. Board games, role-playing games, video games, all of it.
Now, however, I haven't seen a copy of Epic Duels there.
Otherwise, you would have bought it, and then they wouldn't have it anyway. So don't look at my my half price books because
You go find your own.
you find your own. Yeah,
I always love how that's...
try Portland.
That's always nerds It's like, I'm going to go check this area for this. I've now just told you this great idea. Don't copy my idea.
All right. So yeah, my favorite out of print game currently is Epic Duels. I had a few others, a Lord of the Rings game, but that came back in print, and same with Cosmic Encounters, which came out when we were in high school.
My favorite out-of-print game, there's quite a few of them, although a lot of the games that I truly enjoy have come back into print at some point. But the one that I truly loved was a Star Wars card game.
I'm seeing a lot of similarities here.
There seems to be a theme of sorts.
Okay, I'm not going to...
Don't worry, mine's different.
Oh, good. I'm a freaking Star Wars nerd. What do you want from me?
Mine's a Star Wars role-playing game.
Hey, you're taking mine away from me.
No, I didn't.
I'm joking.
But, well, I mean, this one used dice for attack.
This was the Wizards of the Coast Star Wars TCG that came out roughly, what?
2002, 2003.
Yeah, it was right in that era.
Back when I was in
It was
college.
a really fun one. I really liked it for the simple fact that you could
10 years ago.
have a Star Destroyer, which was so much bigger than Wedge's X-Wing, just repeatedly just going, why won't he die?
Because
it's all
he's small
based on
and
luck.
evade his turbo lasers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I can't quote this movie because I
No.
can't talk.
Wouldn't want to use the tractor beam or anything.
No, you
that's-
can't use the
no,
tractor
no.
beam. And only some of them were able to do planetary bombardment, which makes complete sense for a Star Destroyer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a game, guys. A wizard did it. Or wizards.
Or in this case, Jedi.
Wizards.
You see what I did there?
think they're on the coast?
Ah.
I'm sorry. I had to do it.
Oh,
It's
but,
required.
I mean, there were also... it was a really fun game. It, of course, died. I was also a huge fan of Spoils. As we've mentioned through this, it was also a really fun game. I hear that they're bringing it back, which makes me happy.
Pretty sure they brought it back.
Yeah, it was about 2 years ago that I got an update email that I believe it was a Swedish company, had bought the game, was re-releasing it with slightly different rule set and all new cards. The old cards would not function with the new rule set, but I never saw anything after that. All right, Doug, tag, you're it.
Okay. Well, I liked the RPG called Paranoia. Paranoia, you created a single character with 9 clones when you began the game. Because the DM was allowed to kill you off in whatever way he seemed fit.
The DM was expected to kill you
Well,
off.
expected to kill you off. But it was turned into a lot of fun, and it made you realize that, yeah, I just rolled a character, but I don't need to take it seriously because, well, I'm doomed anyway.
Well, that does come into a lot of problems with, like, I know myself as a gamer, I fall in love with my character, and, you know, like, you get protective, and you're like, no, no, you're killing my character.
It's made me be the opposite of a rules lawyer when I play RPGs at this point. Like, you always had that one jerk who's like, no, I summon Pazuzu at level 1 and destroy everything because I'm awesome.
You still do that.
But I do it a tee-hee way, not in like an
Our
actual...
shenanigans are cute and cheeky. His shenanigans are sad and tragic.
It's true. By the way, if you ever want to break D&D 3.5, there's an ability to summon the greater demon Pazuzu if you say his name 3 times in a row. And if you're, say, a paladin, he really, really wants good things to happen to you because he makes you turn chaotic evil slowly over time. But so long as you're okay not being lawful good, if you want to say...
No one really loves being lawful good.
Play a wizard
We're lawful
who's
good in real life.
neutral good.
I hate
or
my real life.
Evil. Then you just summon Pazuzu and you get a CR22 monster who will go and do your bidding for you as he slowly turns you to the dark side.
Yeah.
Then he gets paranoia. Back to my game. Yeah. Just the idea that, you know, that your character is transitory. I guess it's one of the reasons that I like the George R.R. Martin books a lot too, just because, you know, you might be the main character, but that doesn't mean that you're invincible. As a matter of fact,
Yeah, for those of you who are watching the Game of Thrones series and have not read the books, don't get attached
To anyone.
to anybody.
ever.
At
Even
all.
if they're a minor character that you're thinking,
Well, actually,
"Oh,
also...
you're so minor, nobody cares about you."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So mine is an old card game that, ironically, per our earlier conversation, Wizards of the Coast actually eventually bought and ran flaming into the ground. That was based on the old Werewolf the Apocalypse RPG. It was called Rage. And what I really liked about it was they totally changed turn structure. It wasn't like Magic in that it was your turn and then my turn. It was the turn, and everybody could do stuff pretty much simultaneously. And you could have, it was very easy to convert into a group game. Was
it kind of like lunch money then?
No. Lunch money is definitely very turn-based, back and forth.
Well, I guess, but it's like you do stuff, I do stuff, you do stuff. Or is it more like...
Well, I mean, there were still responses like there is with most card games, but I think really the downfall to that game was that they did a lot of expansions because they had a big world to cover, and they were trying to bring so much into it, and eventually it started to peter off a little bit. I mean, they had a finite world. The wonderful thing about Magic is that all they've got to do is
shift dimension.
Oh, look, here's another realm. We win. We have a total, 7 new blocks and 4 new core sets. Have fun. So I really liked Rage. I still have, a few years back, somebody gave me their 6,000 card collection. So
Whoa. That's a lot of cards.
I think I'm still at like 20 or 30,000 cards.
Well, that's how I feel about most CCGs, though. Like, I can't count the number of... Well, I probably can if I sat down.
Yeah, you actually can count.
Well, thank you. I did go to public school.
I graduated from high school, Manu.
I don't know how many different sets of CCGs I own.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's a lot. Like, if I went through and just, like, stacked them all up in boxes, it would be like, oh, hey, here's the old Star Trek CCG.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, here's the old Star Wars and the new Star Wars, and here's the here's
the
Magic
mid-Star
going
Wars.
back forever. And
I shifted storage units here a couple of months back, and it kind of became a running gag of what's in this box. Oh, more cards. Mm-hmm. Oh, more cards. I think I've got probably 200 to 250 pounds of cards.
No, but if we're going with dead games, Blood Bowl.
Oh, Blood Bowl was good.
Blood Bowl is awesome.
It was good, and it came back.
The
And
video
it
game.
Still play it.
Yes, you can, but I mean that's my point though, is because a lot of these games they die out, and you pray that they come back in some way or form.
Well, actually, speaking of that though, the Games Workshop mini games were in a lot of ways better than their main games, and better in that they released a rule set and then they didn't keep tweaking it, and it was just the same game forever, and it was perfectly balanced, and it was a lot of fun. I Give You More Time was an excellent game system.
Yep.
Blood Bowl, good game system. Battlefleet Gothic, fun game system. Like, all of their little mini games come with awesome models and are fun to play.
Right.
or they just use the same models.
Well,
and just,
As the other games that you already own.
yes, and then they
Well,
say,
I mean, except for like the Goblin Cheerleaders, you kind of had to get those separate.
No, you
could
just
always
take your normal
customize.
goblins and then you start altering. And then when you play your next game, you put your goblins on the field and they got little pom-poms. Like,
no one asks questions.
no one asks questions. They just look
There
at
were
it and
some
go, yep,
questions
those are
asked
goblins.
in my worlds.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
it was.
Well, that's because I don't want to live in your worlds. They're creepy.
They really are. This was the same gaming store where someone painted his entire squadron of Space Marines with jump packs that had tiger tails.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. That didn't stop there, but that's another story for a different time.
For a more grown-up
Did you
audience.
let Robin Williams come and play at your
No,
store?
that would have been awesome, though.
And his
It
space
really
orcs.
would have been. Yeah, he's.
Oh, I'm sorry, Space Orcs.
So I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Once again, this is the MonkeyCast. We do these as often as we can. Looks like they're coming out about every couple of weeks. Stay tuned, of course, to our Facebook at facebook.com/HOFMV 2.0. And check out our Indiegogo campaign to help fund our store at igg.me/@/HOFM. For the House of Flying Monkeys and myself, I'm Aaron Holbrook.
I'm Max Brandeis.
Owen Oaksford.
And Doug.